Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Deidre. Today, I am conversing with Princeton and Yolanda Lowe. Princeton is a member of the Made Men Motorcycle Club and rides a Harley. So we're going to get into that and how Yolanda supports his efforts. But first, here's a fact. The National Bikers Roundup, an annual event organized by African American motorcycle clubs, is the largest camping motorcycle rally in the United States. Founded in 1977, it has grown to attract tens of thousands of participants. Beyond the thrill of biking, these clubs of thousands of participants also engage in community service, such as organizing charity rides, supporting local businesses, and mentoring youth, thereby having a positive impact in their communities. Welcome, Princeton and Yolanda.
Hi.
Thank you.
All right. How did you both get involved in the biker club? Now, Princeton, I know you're the biker, but then came along Yolanda. So I'll ask you, Princeton, how did you get involved in the biker club?
I originally got involved when I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle, but I wanted to ride one. So after I purchased it, I happened to run into a guy who's in Made Men, and I thought it would be a good idea to learn how to ride a bike in addition to getting my license. And it really has paid off that I did learn that way, because even to this day, I'm still learning little tips and little things to do. Since I joined the club, I bought my motorcycle in 2013. Wow. And I became a member of that club in 2013, a few months later. And it has a lot of benefits for me joining an MC as opposed to learning on my own.
Okay. So what's the story behind your first motorcycle?
Okay. Well, my very first motorcycle was a 2013 Harley Davidson Street Glide. Prior to that, I had a Honda scooter, and I saw some friends who were riding, some guys on some scooters and one motorcycle. They rode by my house, and I looked out the window and I said, "Hey, I can ride a scooter," because I didn't know how to ride a motorcycle. But then once I got the scooter, I found out that you had to have a motorcycle endorsement. So once I found that out, I said, well, once I get the motorcycle, once I get a scooter, I'm going to go ahead and get my endorsement. Well, it just so happened that a state patrol officer, highway patrolman, pulled me over one day, and he asked for my endorsement. And at that time, I didn't have it. So I tried to trick him, and I just said, hey, I just have a driver's license. And then he looked at me, and then he looked at the scooter itself, and he said, small tires, engine in the back, have a nice day. He really didn't know that I was supposed to have an endorsement. So I said, let me go ahead and get it. And that's what made me get my license. Then I got my motorcycle, and here I am.
All right. All right. So can you guys describe, and either one of you can take this question, your most memorable ride together?
If I had to give you two different answers, though.
Well, maybe
that's
not.
fine.
Maybe not. Okay, you go ahead and give me your number.
I'll probably say the first distance ride we took, which was to Atlanta. He had always told me about how different it is to take a road trip on a motorcycle as opposed to in a vehicle. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, we left early. It was before sunrise. And so we took off, and we were with the club. We were with Made Men. But we took off, and just watching the sunrise and all of that, it was absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely a different experience. And so for me, that's probably my most memorable.
All right, Princeton.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with that. Yeah, that was our first long trip. She hung in there. And I say that because at that particular time, I had a stock seat on my bike, and they're a little rough on the rear ends of the ladies.
Yes.
And I didn't really know that. And she hung in there, but it really can it can injure you, which it did do to her. It can scar you pretty bad. So, but I mean, overall, it was fun. You know, it was a fun time, and it was our first big ride. Really mine. You know, you think about it, because prior to my wife, I didn't have anybody riding on my motorcycle. So, you know, so it was a learning experience for me also, but it was a lot of fun.
All right, go Yolanda. All right. What does being part of a biker club mean to you both? And Princeton, I'll let you take this. And I know that Yolanda, you support as well, but what does it mean to you, Princeton?
For me, now that I'm on the, as they say, the bike scene, for me, different motorcycle clubs may have different benefits. And I say that because Made Men Motorcycle Club, we are a family-oriented and job-oriented first MC. Not all clubs are built that way. Some clubs are club first. And when they say club first, they mean club first. You have outlaw clubs, you have 1% clubs. That wasn't a good fit for me. Now, even at that time when I first started, I never even heard those terms. But now that I got into the Made Men and I started learning, those types of clubs wouldn't have been a good fit for me. But I also learned about the motorcycle atmosphere, so to speak, from my club brothers, and we actually teach motorcycle etiquette protocols. Very, very important when you're in an MC. Even in this interview, I had to be careful what I say about motorcycle clubs because it can really, you never know who's going to see it. So you got to keep the protocol. You got to understand what you're saying. It's not like the Crips and the Bloods. Don't get me wrong, but it is an MC. When you have that rocker on the bottom of your vest, it's different than a social club. So, but the benefit for me was, like I said, learning to ride the bike, learning the protocols, the do's and don'ts, and safety. Safety is a big part of what we do. And family, me and my wife, we went on a ride yesterday. Told my wife, hey, let's jump on the bike. We rode to Columbus, which you know about. We just rode up there, rode over there, and had a good little time. Got us some ice cream. We was going to get some food, but we came on back before we got all that. But just having a good time.
All right, I love it. All right, what or have you faced any stereotypes or misconceptions about being a biker?
Is it me or her?
That's you. You're the biker.
Honestly,
He's
no.
the rider.
I have not. No. Maybe I heard some things before I joined a bike club, i.e., they just want your money, as in dues. But once I got in here, no, I haven't, ran across anybody who stereotyped me as saying, hey, he's a biker, he's this type of person or that type of person. No, I haven't ran across that, but I'm sure it's out there. I haven't seen it though.
All right. I know you talked about going to Atlanta, but what's the most interesting place you've ridden to as a couple?
Did you ride to Vegas?
No, no, because he's been to Vegas. I flew to Vegas.
That's just too far. Yeah, that's too far.
I probably have to say,
yeah. Most interesting place though?
We came from Clearwater back. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was nice.
Trip. We rode to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta to Clearwater. So I didn't ride the first leg of the trip with him, but coming back, I did. So I rode from Clearwater to Atlanta.
I thought you got on in Georgia.
Oh.
I don't remember where we were, but I know we were coming back, and then from Atlanta.
So yeah, it probably was. And then at that time, the Clearwater trip, I rode down on that 2013 Street Glide. It was during the pandemic, and one of my tires, my rear tire went flat. Well, because of the pandemic and supply issues in the United States, they didn't have a tire in Clearwater for me to get my tire changed. So they told me I could wait till Monday and hopefully they could have one in, or they could try some other tire places. But I told my wife, I said, well, I was thinking about getting a new bike the following year. I said, I'll just trade that one in now. And that's how I have the motorcycle I have now. So it was a new bike. So yeah, so that's when she hopped on the back. And I think I left Clearwater. She was in a truck. But then by the time we got to Georgia, I think I put it on around the Atlanta area. I think I could be wrong, but I thought that's how I went. Okay, well, she said it wrong. So that probably was the most interesting. I don't remember leaving that.
Okay. All right. Now, how do you handle disagreements when you're biking? On your adventures, have you encountered any disagreements that you have to settle during your trips?
We haven't had any. I thought about that when I saw that. I tried to think of a disagreement. We don't really have any. I will say she respects the way I handle my business in the club. She's never had an issue with anything that I'm doing, but I also make sure I don't make her have a problem with anything I'm doing. I'm all respectful of my wife, and and I'm a husband first before I'm a motorcycle man. So I got to make sure, and I will say I have taken her. I want her to see what's on the bike scene, because of the stereotypes and what can be, because there are some things out there that, you know, I wouldn't, even if I was a single man, I wouldn't be involved. You know what I mean? So I know a married man, ain't no way I would go out and, you know, do some of the things that I've seen people, seen bikers do and take part of. That's just not me. So, but I did want her to see this is what it's like. And the main reason was for me to see that these women out here don't mean anything to me, but they don't do a whole lot for me. And, you know what I'm saying?
Speak your truth,
I
Princeton.
yeah, I mean, hey, I'm just keeping. I can go into depth in that. I'm gonna leave it alone, but you know what? My feelings are not. I'm not the only biker who feels that way about, you know. And then some guys don't mind that kind of stuff. You know, some of the women are a little rough around the edges, and they say and talk and do things. And hey, if that's how you want to be, that's fine. Hey, but just not for me.
I got you. All right. Now, can you share, either one of you, share a funny or unexpected moment you've experienced while riding?
Unexpected. Well, it's always unexpected if you have issues on the bike.
Yeah.
Like when we were going to Clearwater and he got that flat, that was a mess. I mean, that threw you back about like 5-6 hours from the trip.
It did.
So, you know, that was unexpected, a little daunting, but you know, at the end of the day, we got a new bike out of it, so that's okay.
And I agree with
Winning.
that. I have another story, something memorable for me, and that is when my wife is on the back of my motorcycle when it's a storm around. She's afraid of storms and tornadoes, and we have been on rides when there's tornado warnings and tornado watches, and we've had to pull off. So it's funny because nothing happened, but we actually had to get off, you know, and a couple of occasions we've been in some situations where the weather can be really bad.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so it's already a danger on a bike. So now you put in the rain, the wind, you know, the visibility, you know, then the other drivers, not even on motorcycle, just who are in cars who may be operating in unsafe manner. So you got to watch for all of those things. So once we stop, there's a saying one of my club brothers has. It's not about how's he put it? It's not about the trip. It's about the journey or something like that. Meaning all the things that we do to get from point A to point B. Point A is fine, point B is fine, but all the things we do in between are what makes memories for motorcycle riders.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. So how has being part of the biker community strengthened your relationship?
You know.
Because it shows me more in depth one of the traits that I love about him anyway, which is he's very compassionate and he's always willing to do. So whenever they have any activity that's involving the community where, you know, they're giving or they're helping, I get to see him in action and it just reaffirms who he is to me.
Most definitely. All right. Now, how do you ensure safety while riding? I know I heard you talk a lot about, you know, safety first, Princeton. What's some of the things that you do to ensure safety while riding?
Again, our club, in addition to family and a job, is safety. If we kind of, it's not in our bylaws that you got to wear a helmet, but 99.9% of us wear our helmets. And I say that because every blue moon, you'll see one of our guys out there without a helmet on. But we will kind of pressure or make jokes about, hey, you know, so-and-so not in his helmet, blah, 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 blah. But in addition to the helmet, you know, we try to wear the gear. You know, my wife has a rain suit. She has her helmets. She has her boots. I remember one time we were riding, and I think she had on gym shoes. And one of my club brothers, Chrome, told her, said, "Hey, look, you don't ride in gym shoes." And he's he's a founder in the club. He's younger than me, but he's one of the original founders. His motorcycle knowledge is off the charts. So when he speaks, I listen. So, and I wasn't big. I'm not big on. I don't ride in gym shoes either. You know, I don't like it. But when he said that, that just reaffirmed that my wife needs to be in boots, because you hear stories of people going down and they got on sandals, they got on sneakers, and the road rash is no joke. When you sliding on that pavement and you got on gym shoes, it's going to rip off the top of that or the sole of that shoe, and your foot is next. Wow. And you don't want all that road rash on your legs, on your feet. You know, just want to be protected the most you can.
All right. Do you have any pre-ride rituals or traditions?
Yes, we pray.
Yes.
Yeah, we pray. As an MC, every time we go on a group ride, we lock arms. You see a lot of MCs do that. We lock arms like this. We make a ring, and we'll say a prayer. We pray for the travel. We'll pray for our families, and we also pray for safety from those on the roads with us. And that's the ritual. It's done without question, going and coming. And then, like with just me and my wife, we'll pull out. I hear her praying behind me. I can hear her. You know, I can hear her praying behind me while so I'm praying. We prayed up. We're well prayed up.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you customize or personalize your bike?
That's totally him. Go ahead.
Well, there's a saying. Every Harley Davidson rider customizes their bike to fit their personalities. And that's so true, because if you look at Harley Davidson motorcycles, especially touring bikes, they all have basically the same frame, same wheels. They all look the same. Then you start getting into different type fairings, saddlebags, and stuff like that. So just like with the bike I have now, I probably have, if not most club brothers in my club, we all have the same looking bike. They're just in different colors. They got different paint jobs. They got different stripes. Then you start talking about adding handlebars. Some people do gas tanks. Some people do seats. People do lights. So you can take two of the same exact bikes, customize it to the point where they don't look like the same bike, but on the surface, they really are.
Okay.
So mine, yeah, my second bike, I haven't done as much to it. The first bike, I chromed it out. I mean, I chromed everything in the engine. I chromed the forks, the wheels, and all that stuff. So I didn't go that route this time. But I mean, there's so many different avenues you can do. So yes, I definitely, and I'm still working on the one I have now.
Okay.
Just thinking it's expensive.
Yeah. So is that chroming out everything the craziest modification you've made to your motorcycle, or is there something else?
I won't say craziest, but I will say it was something that it took more time and more money to do. Now, if you want to say crazy, probably putting 21-inch bars on my bike. They're called, some people call them pullbacks, some people call them rams. But, and I say that because when you first start operating it, when you're used to it, it's an awkward feel about it, you know. So, but you get used to it. So that's about the quote unquote craziest thing I've done. I don't do a lot of crazy. I'm square with a flare. I don't want my bike to be out here looking like some lowrider. You know what I mean? I like a nice, clean look, and that's what I got.
Okay. How do you stay connected with the other club members?
We have a chat board. Maybe, and we actually have 3 boards. One is we call an info board. It's for basically they'll put up information for club gatherings, other motorcycle parties, and stuff like that. Then we kind of have a board that's for everybody. It's just called Made Men. Then we got one that's a dating board, which is just my dating brothers. People put pictures up there, you know, that you ain't gonna share with everybody. So.
Wow.
I don't even need to know that one.
See, that's how we stay connected. That's how we stay connected.
Okay.
So which way did you mean by stay in touch?
Well, just, how do you guys stay connected? Is there, outside of the motorcycle club or any way that you may stay connected? Is there a weekly call or anything like, chat, Facebook groups?
Well, and that's exactly what those chat boards are.
Okay.
But we do have a meeting once a month.
Okay.
I think it's every third Sunday of the month. We do have a meeting. And then even in the off season, we'll pick up a club brother. They have to pick a venue and a date for all of us to attend, to include our wives and stuff. So we kind of do it. So it's usually dinners or bowling or stuff like that. So even in the off season in Ohio, we can't ride all year.
Right.
So in the off season, we'll go do stuff like that. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, sounds like it. All right. Now, do you have a favorite biker themed movie or TV show?
I honestly do not, because people try to, the little motorcycle thing that was out a couple of years ago, Sons of Anarchy. I tried to watch that. It wasn't for me. But we just recently went and saw the Bikers, Bike Riders or something like, it's a movie that's out right now. So we did go see that, and my wife went, and some other spouses went, club brothers. So I enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable movie, but no, I don't really have some movie that, I really associate with that. Nah, not me.
All right. Now, what's the longest ride you've ever done together?
Atlanta.
Yeah,
Atlanta.
It's like,
Okay.
what, 8 hours?
That's 8 hours. Well, it's longer. It's 8 hours in a car. It's longer on a motorcycle
Mm,
because you got to stop on motorcycles every hour and a half or so.
right.
And usually those stops can range anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes to an hour sometimes, depending upon how many bikes are there, how much we are really trying to press to get where we're going. So definitely, if we got wives with us, it takes longer at those stops. And I'm not saying that because of them. I mean, but you got to get off and stretch your legs, and then the ladies start chatting, and the guys start chatting. Especially if it's raining, then we taking pictures of people trying to put their rain suits on because I got caught putting mine on backwards one time. They take the pictures, and again, that's just part of the journey. Those are the memorable moments.
Got
We
it.
make memories like that.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
What future biking goals or destinations do you both have?
Um, he has often talked about going to what's the mile marker zero?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talked about that, and I think that's in Key West.
Key West.
Yes.
Key West, yeah, Florida. So, I mean, that sounds interesting. But it sounds interesting. I mean, I think it's something that I would like to do, but it sounds long. So we'll see how that goes.
All right.
Yeah. I don't. If we do something like that, I'm going to probably ask her to take a week to 10 days off.
Mhm.
Because I like when we travel. I at least want to go to Atlanta overnight, Miami overnight, in the Key West or something like that overnight. Then do the same thing coming back. So then you want to allow yourself enough time because she got to get back to a job, and I don't want to have to cut so close to now we rushing to come back that last day, and I got to ride 14, 15, 16 hours to get her back. So
Right.
that's why I said, allow yourself enough time. But yeah, that's probably one of the longer trips that we talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, have you two ever gotten lost, and who is the blame?
Well, we have. I don't think it's been anything just like super crazy, but it's always because of him. He's the one driving. So, but or sometimes too, it could be the GPS.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It really acts up in Atlanta.
Mm,
It's a lot of, I don't know what the reason is, and we use the Waze, WAZE app quite a bit.
yes.
And for some reason in Atlanta, it throws it off. So there's nothing worse than being on a motorcycle lost and not, I mean, you're riding. So it's hard to tinker with the GPS and stay safe, when you're riding the bikes. But we don't get lost too much, and then there's another saying, you're never lost as long as you got road in front of you. That's the
Right.
enjoyment of the ride. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any amusing nicknames that you've earned as a biker, Princeton, or maybe even you, Yolanda?
well, I don't know if it's amusing, but I can share my biker name. I wanted it to be Sparkle because I like rhinestones. I mean that's the one thing that I enjoy about being a biker wife or female, associated with biker. I like to dress for it. I love playing around with that. I have a very extensive wardrobe, and a lot of them, a lot of my tops and stuff have a lot of rhinestones and things on it. So, but when he first told me, he says, "Well, we're gonna have to get you a biker name. What do you want it to be?" And I'm like, "Sparkle." And so he comes back and he says, "Okay, your name is not Sparkle, it's Yellow." I thought, well, what? But then I like it. It's really cute. It's different than everybody's heard of Yellow, and it fits. So I like it.
And it rhymes with mine, Pilo. So I think that's why
Okay.
he did that. I think that's why he did it, because really the way it works is supposed to work. The club is supposed to name you. You don't name yourself. But
Okay.
they wanted, hold on, they wanted to name me Scooter. And I said, no.
Now that would be an amusing nickname, but no, we won't go there.
Yes, I didn't like that because remember I told you I rode a scooter before I rode a motorcycle.
Yes.
So when I told them that, they already was thinking, well, his name gonna be Scooter. I said, no. I said, if y'all name me Scooter, I'm not joining the club. So I'm Pilo.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the most ridiculous reason you had to pull over during a ride? And maybe not ridiculous, odd, whatever adjective you want to throw in there, but talk about
Tornado.
when you had to pull over.
Tornado.
Okay.
Actual tornadoes, the skies, to pull over and then get into a building. And yes, it's the best. The best move we made. I mean, it's safety, but I mean, it's funny afterwards. But yeah, it's we
serious.
haven't had to pull over because of any wrecks or anything, have we?
No, but I know that one time your saddlebag was dragging and it come loose. The little, remember we had kind of converted when we had the ones that were like luggage, and part of it was hanging or something. You had to replace it. And there was something else that flew off the one time something flew off the bike. What was that? Do you remember
I
that?
don't remember.
Yeah, something flew off our bike. Because I remember somebody coming up alongside of us honking and was kind of, motioning to something that flew off.
Yeah, those saddlebags can pop open if you don't have them locked. So sometimes articles of clothing or stuff you got in there can't fly out. I mean, some people have lost things. And if you ride 9 times out of 10, you don't turn around and go get it because you're riding in a group. So you got to keep pounding. I've seen cups come out. Some guys got cup holders, and if you hit a bump, they'll fly off and all kind of stuff.
It was your phone bank.
Oh yeah, my bank fell out the back of my bag. Yeah.
Wow.
Just got it, brand new off Amazon.
Ooh.
Brand new.
Wow.
Which is kind of scary because that, really it could have been dangerous, but.
Yeah, because if somebody's behind you and that stuff flies off, like you hit somebody in the face, those become projectiles real quick.
Wow.
And thankfully, though, nothing like that happened.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I
Yes.
know a reason. I know you said a funny reason for pulling over.
Yes.
Going from here to Louisville one time, we were riding and we had to pull over because there was an overturned cattle car, and there were cows all over the interstate. I mean, not just a couple of them, the whole daggone cattle car fit. Now, it killed some, but you've seen it. So we were going around cattle and, we had to stop them a couple of times. So what we did was I rode halfway to Louisville because I wasn't going all the way to Louisville. I was just riding part of the ride trying to come back. So as I'm coming back, they done got state troopers out there with helicopters and everything trying to round up these cattle that had spilled over in this stuff. So yeah, that was about one of the, funniest things I had to stop for. Yeah, I just thought about that. Yep.
Okay. Now, do you have a favorite biker snack that you always bring along?
Yep.
Is that bubble gum?
Bubble gum.
Okay.
For him.
Bubble gum. Yeah, I'm a bubble gum guy.
Okay. All right. What about you, Yolanda?
Anything gummies. So,
Okay.
gummy savers, gummy bears. Yeah.
All right. All right. This has been fun. I have a few questions for you, Princeton, and then I'm gonna break off because I just have a couple for Yolanda. So, Princeton, we'll start with you, and maybe you've answered this question, but you can elaborate a little more. What initially attracted you to the biker lifestyle?
I wanted to learn how to ride a motorcycle.
Okay.
Just being so raw and not knowing how to ride one. I mean, because even after I got my license and took the class, I knew how to move I knew how to make it move as far as shifting the gears, but I didn't know. I didn't have any experience, and it as far as simple things like leaning into it, because you don't turn a motorcycle, you lean on a motorcycle. Okay. Knowing when to use your front brake as opposed to your rear brake or both brakes. How to downshift and upshift, and just being safe. Just the little things that you really don't think about until you get around other bikers and they see you struggling. I know the first time I rode my bike, we went to Indiana, and since I was so new, we made a left turn. And everybody made the left correctly but me, and everybody was in the street. I was up on the sidewalk avoiding pedestrians, and I had to bring my bike back down off the sidewalk and into the street because, again, you lean. So if you just turn, it's not the same effect.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, have you ever had to fix a motorcycle on the road? Any
I have.
interesting
I had
stories?
to fix my own. I've had to have club brothers to fix my motorcycle. Everybody's going to have their turn when their bike goes down.
Okay.
When I went to South Carolina, my bike went down. When I went to Clear, and I say went down, meaning it broke down. I didn't wreck on it, so I gotta be careful what I'm saying, but it went down. But And one time I was going to Youngstown. I got off work from the post office at like 6:30 at night. It's late. I know I'm gonna get there when it's dark. And I probably got about an hour away from Youngstown, and my daggone bike broke down. Now I'm out there by myself, and I'm like, I had to. Now, thankfully, I'd seen some things get fixed on bikes, so I was able to go and fix it enough that I was able to get to Youngstown. Okay, but then you got to remember, I got to try to get back home a couple of days later after reserve duty's over, and it just so happened there was a captain who used to ride a motorcycle, so he was able to fix it to the point where I could get home. So yeah, you got to know a little bit about them because shifter pegs. I done had shifters fall all the way off my bike, and then you got to get towed. So sometimes you can't fix, you got to get it towed. But yes, I have had to fix it and keep riding. Yes.
Oh wow! All right, glad you were safe. Now, what's your go-to music playlist for long rides?
60s, 60s and 70s R&B. You know me. I'm a Temptations there, stylistics. And now, since I met my wife, she has me a lot into the 90s R&B, which I listen to it quite a bit, but I'm still, I'm a diehard 60s and 70s and, that type of music, Otis Redding and all that good stuff. That's and then old school hip hop. I do a lot of, I cut my teeth on that growing up at, 17, 18 years old, being around for the birthplace of hip hop. I listen to a lot of
that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. That was when music was so good.
Yes,
all right, that era.
Yeah.
Now, Princeton, how do you maintain your bike?
What do you mean maintain?
Like keep it, in good condition.
Yeah, I stay up on the services just like you do with a car. Motorcycles require maintenance just like cars do. You want to get it serviced. Which means they'll go in and out to change the oil. They check your belts. You got to check brakes. There, at our last, we call a made men mandatory meeting we had. They brought up something about which I never heard of, but they got these. I can't remember what they're called, but they're on the handlebars themselves. The bushings can go bad. So you don't want to be riding your bike and then your bushings give out when you're on the ride. That happened to a guy in another club, and he had a serious accident. He didn't get killed, but it messed him up because he didn't stay on the bushings on his handlebar. And what they do is when the bushings wear out, the handlebars just fall down, and you have no control over the bike. So going 80, 70, 80 miles an hour and that happening, that's very serious. So, but I mean, just like you would a car, and it's not much difference other than, the actual maintenance itself. But matter of fact, you got to be more on top of a bike than you would a car, if you ask me. You got to really, really be on top of it. Tires, especially, tires wear down. When a tire starts to wear down on a motorcycle, it's not like a car. You can need a tire on a car and you can still ride another 10,000 miles. But on a motorcycle, if you start to see it wearing down, you might not make it home, or you might not go another 50, 60, 70 miles. You'll start to see the threads start to come out of the tire. It goes that fast. It's a big difference.
Wow. Yeah. Thank God for run flats on cars. All right. So what is your favorite model of the Harley and why?
Model of a Harley?
Yes.
They call them HD, Harley Davidson. It also stands for $100 because every time you go into a store, that's what you're going to spend. Every time, no matter what it is, you're going to at least spend $100. So you hear people say that HD stands for $100 in addition to Harley Davidson.
Okay. All right. All right, Mrs. Lowe, I have a couple of questions for you as well.
Okay.
What is your favorite part of riding with your husband?
Just being a part of his world.
Okay.
Because I didn't have anything to do with motorcycles or motorcycle clubs or anything like that before him. So it was nice to be included into something that is near and dear to him.
All right. Now, have you taken the lead or attempted to take the lead and get on the bike and drive?
Never, ever.
Okay.
I did think about, because shortly after we were married, he had to go to the UAE. Yeah, he had to deploy for about 6 months. And I thought about it. I said, oh, maybe I should learn how to ride while he's gone. That'd be kind of cool. And I thought, well, I don't really want to do that. I mean, he'll tell you it's pulling teeth to get me to drive anywhere anyway. So that just would have ended up being a lost cause. So no.
And I don't really want my wife to ride a motorcycle. They're dangerous. Yeah. I'm not saying she couldn't do it, but I feel safer with her on the back of mine and hers trying to operate around.
I understand.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a specific role or responsibility within the club, Yolanda?
No, not within the club,
Okay.
no. But I like to think that my specific role to him is just a supporting. I mean, I know it's important to him. So, I try to stay out the way, of whatever involvement he has in it.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give to women interested in biking with their husbands?
I would probably say because it's strange that there are quite a few of the wives who don't enjoy riding.
Mm,
Um, but I would probably say to look at it the way that I look at it, which is it's just a way for him to share a part of him with you. Like I said, I don't know that if and when he ever stops biking that I would still be interested enough in it to continue in it in some capacity. Probably not, just like I was involved or interested before I met him. But uh, just the fact that he wants me on the back of the bike and he wants me to be with him, and like you said, the memories and things that we've made and that we've shared. Yeah, look at it like that. It's just another way of him sharing himself with you.
outstanding. All right. This is my final question, and I'll let both of you take turns answering. What's one piece of advice that you would give to couples who bike together or thinking about biking together?
Uh, I'll go first. I mean, that's kind of a broad question, but from the aspect of how we ride, since I am just a passenger,
Mhm.
is to um just be as compliant as possible, meaning, if we do stop, handle your business, come back out, get on the bike. You know what I mean? Don't be lollygagging around and lingering and all that kind of stuff. If he says we're leaving at 5 o'clock, be ready at 5 o'clock, just things like that, just to be compliant and enjoy not having to do anything but sit back there, maybe say an occasional prayer, an occasional thank you, and just enjoy the ride.
All right. Good piece of advice. And Princeton.
Um, for me, it sounds like the question is kind of like if they're going to be new on the bike scene, so to speak.
Well, they could be novice, they could be veterans, just one piece
Okay.
of advice, because again, when you're doing things and you kind of get into your comfort zone, you tend to not think about different things and they could cause issues or they could be, safety concerns. So just one thing or piece of advice that you, even as a veteran rider, you have to think, oh, I refer back to this, or, this is something that somebody should know.
You know what? With that being said, I would say, and I'm just going to mention one thing: have patience for one another. Like my wife, I had to show her or teach her how to lean when we're turning because novice passengers have a tendency to want to sit up straight when you want to curve. So your body makes you want to stay up and to keep your balance. But when you do that, I'm fighting the bike and you on the back because remember I told you, you lean on a motorcycle, you don't turn it. So if I'm leaning this way and then you sit up straight, the bike will tend to sit up straight too. So I got to kind of bring it back down. So you got to have patience, but you also have to teach and allow them to learn and show them, the things that goes on with a bike. Don't be dancing in the seat. Put your arms around my waist, if you're riding. Lean back, be careful. Like people want to, kick their legs all out and stuff like that. So you got to be careful with that. She's real good at it. You know what I mean? I remember one time before me and my wife got together, there was a young lady who wanted to ride on my bike, which I took her for a ride. But she's dancing around in the back seat like we in the car somewhere. She's behind me. She's doing all like this and dancing. I had to tap her like, hey, because that does it to the bike too. So, and you say, someone who's new to it, that's a major part of it. But especially if you're on a bike scene and you're new to it, do some research before you just say, hey, I want to join a motorcycle club with my wife or vice versa. See what you're getting into before you just go do it. Because the MC scene is serious.
Right.
And you can really, really find yourself in some tough situations because of those protocols I talked about, the situations, and it may not be for everybody.
All right, I understand. Well, I just want to thank you both. I think it's just so amazing that you two can come together. And Yolanda, you support his efforts and something that he loves. I'm sure he supports your efforts as well. And that's definitely what keeps a marriage strong, you know, having your individual things, but then having the support of your spouse. So I just want to thank you both.
Got a question for you.
Sure.
Will you ever ride a motorcycle?
Of course. I have ridden motorcycles, never driven a motorcycle, but yes, you know, I'm an adventurous person. So of course, and I understand fully when you said you have to lean, because that was one of the first things that I was taught when I got on that bike. You know, you got to lean with it.
Okay.
So.
All right. That's good to know. Nice talking to you, Lady B.
All right. Well, thank you both.
All right.
Remember, self-love is sexy. Be selfish in your love for self and selfless in your love for others. If you enjoyed this video, like it. If you found it useful and want to see more, subscribe. If it pertains to someone you know, share it. And if you have an opinion, leave a comment. A conscious heart will do all four. Thank you.